It's like a mountain that keeps growing, and
people were still coming out in crazy, crazy numbers.
I was like, there's no way.
You feel it in the air, and we're all like, this is definitely really special.
That's when I realized it was headed for something big.
That's an experience you'll never have in your life.
And we're off.
Combat medals, citations. Only man to shoot down 3 enemy planes in the last 40 years. Yet here you are. Why is that?
Well, Tom, felt that Maverick was an iconic character in his filmography. And if he was going to make a sequel, it had to hit a bullet with a bullet. And Joe Kosinski came up with an idea that we've been toying around with, but Joe kind of encapsulated it. And we flew to Paris while Tom was making Mission Impossible. And Joe had a lookbook and sat down with Tom and said, here's a story I want to tell, and here's what it's going to look like. And Tom looked at him and said, look, Joe, if we're going to make this, we're going to make it real. I want everybody in those planes. I want to feel it. And Joe said, that's the only way I want to make it. And Tom picked up his phone and called the head of the studio at the time and said, I want to make another Top Gun. And of course, they were delighted.
Your reputation precedes you.
I have to admit, I wasn't expecting an invitation back.
Oh God, there's a lot of good memories working with Tom Cruise. The first thing that comes to mind is my very first day. It kind of encapsulates him. So my first day was a speech that I make that Warlock makes introducing Maverick to the new students. And he wasn't supposed to be there that day. I do the speech a few times on camera. We do a few takes, and everybody's used to relaxing after I'm done because we're going to cut there and he's going to shoot his another day. I'm about to go again. I see some activity behind a curtain, and it's him getting dressed. And they're like, okay, do it this time. He's going to actually come in. The other actors didn't know. I introduced him. Now, mind you, I hadn't met him because I missed the table read because I was working. So this was my day to meet him. I thought I was going to meet him in a few days, but there he was. And we didn't even say hi. I did the scene again. He walks up just like the way you see in the movie, and you hear his footsteps. And I've been wondering if that's the take they used, because everybody kind of stiffened in their chair when they realized that somebody was actually coming and weren't cutting. And then he did his speech. So I'm watching Maverick live, standing there on the side. And then he just drops all and goes, Charles, how are you? Welcome to set. I'm Tom. And so I met Maverick, Tom at the same moment. And that was pretty wild. That's my first huge memory. But I have a lot of great memories working with him because he's great. He was great to me. He's great to the cast. He's relentlessly positive. He keeps your spirits up. He keeps you feeling good about what you're doing the whole time. So it just lifts the whole spirit of the movie.
All right. That was awesome.
The thing that kind of took down this veil of, he's a superhuman already. So I think he's genuinely somebody that is a superhuman, and he's Tom Cruise, right? But the first time that we were gonna meet at an airbase, there was a PA that was like, Tom's about to land in like 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And so everyone got a little bit like, oh my God, Tom's about to land. And so we're all like waiting in this hallway. He lands, he's saying hi to someone, and then that person, like, I forgot who it was, they leave, and he's yet to come up, like he's about to come up to us, but he takes a sip of water, and he spills a little bit. Right. And then there's just like a small little puddle on the ground, and with his foot, he just kind of like, just like washes it away, pretending nothing happened. And then he comes up and says hi to us. And I remember seeing that, and like that took down these walls of like, oh, or like, it's just like, oh, he's just like us. Yeah. And then from that building point, he not only is like us, but he proved it, and is like, he's one of the most compassionate, empathetic people that is just like, he wants you to succeed as much as he wants himself to succeed. And like, he really shows that every single day. So that's more so the overall story.
I think my favorite moments on set with Tom was like after set, when we would rap and we'd all like huddle up, and he'll tell us stories about the old times, or he'll just, tell us about his experience. Oh no. Oh. Delete. Come on. About his experiences growing up. I thought that was the coolest thing to hear, because you read about it in books, you see it on YouTube, but to hear from, the person who actually experienced it and met these other, icons, and what it was like for him to work with, great icons of his time. in our position was truly special. And I think that took down the walls too.
Let me be perfectly blunt. You were here at the request of Admiral Kazansky, AKA Iceman.
Well, Tom always said, I'm not making the movie unless, Val's in it. Yeah. And we called Val and talked to him about the character he was going to play, and Val had some other ideas, and we collaborated along with Tom and Chris McQuarrie and came up with the role that he plays in the movie, which obviously is very emotional. And it's one of the emotional cores of the film. It's that ride that Maverick goes through with an old friend and the emotions he feels through the making of the movie. And the audience feels that, and that's a big part of our success.
He seems to think that you have something left to offer the Navy. What that is, I can't imagine.
Getting it was a bit of a process. I had an audition, and you get to a point in your career where you have an audition, you just kind of forget about it. And especially with something this big, you go, okay, I'm not going to get too crazy about it. But then I got an email that said, Tom Cruise liked your tape. And then you start getting a little excited. And then I had a few more auditions. And then once I got the job, I just kind of froze. It's like, oh my God, I got it. And I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? How am I going to do this? So it was a combination of being frozen and being really excited all at the same time.
What the hell kind of mission is this?
So when we auditioned for the movie, shout out to our casting director, Denise Chayman, who's absolutely amazing. We had to sign a release saying that we were comfortable flying. I don't think anyone equated comfortable flying to the back of an F-18 for like 15 to 16 hours plus 40 hours of flight training. I don't think we put those two together. And I think we knew we were going to fly for sure, but I don't think we thought it was going to be that. And then the other piece, I would say that none of us were prepared for or definitely knew about was like this swim test. Like the swim test is something that none of us knew about at all whatsoever. I mean, you're in a pool for about 4 hours, moving the entire time. And you have 40 pounds of gear on, helmet, gloves, boots, everything. So you start out swimming the length of the pool a couple times in a couple different strokes. Then you do another one where you have to go like the full distance of the pool underwater to simulate if there were like a fire on top of the water. And then after that, you go into like a couple different floats that you have to do in order. And you never put your feet down. You never touch a wall. You're moving the entire time. I feel like Michael Phelps. Like, I feel like I could probably beat Michael Phelps after. Not now, but then.
Damn right. What say we put some skin in the game?
I did not know. I knew Tom did his own stunt, so I thought that was reserved to Tom Cruise because it's Tom Cruise. I did not know that he was going to say, hey, no, all of y'all are going to be flying in jets. So when I was told, because they started before me, so they had their training, but when I was told that, hey, you're about to join the crew and start flying with them, I was like, oh, okay.
Try to stay with me.
For me, it was much of the same. Even though I was in the first group of people that were training, but I didn't read the fine print. And I did sign a paper that said, like, if you sign this waiver, you're telling us that you're not afraid of flying. Right. And I signed it because I'm like, if I don't sign it, I can't audition, and I want to audition, and therefore I'll sign it. And before I knew it, I was in the Cessna doing a couple hours a week, and then in the Exit 300 and L-39, and it just kind of like crept up on me, and it had been discussed once I got the role, but I had no idea we were going to be in the air. Truly, I'm now going to read the Apple agreements that I'm now signing up on my phone. I'm reading all of it now.
Push beyond your limits.
I got to tell you something. Every one of them just roared through this with enthusiasm, enormous amount of effort and pain and fear, everything that goes through you how they gave them underwater training, in case they got dumped in the ocean, and they were blindfolded and turned upside down and had to find in a cage and had to find their way out, and then the pounding their bodies took by doing the G-forces. They were doing 7-8 times their body weight. And when you look at the footage, you see the pain on their faces and the contortion. That's not acting, that's real. They're feeling that. So it's an experience I don't think an audience will ever forget, and they certainly won't forget it.
We're going into combat on a level no living pilot's ever seen. Not even him.
There was some talk when we first saw the movie after it had been edited. There was some talk of, and then Glen, let's just say it was Glen, who was begging Tom and Jerry Kaczynski, our director, Eddie Hamilton, our editor, begging them to do an extreme cut, and then also put us in 4D, so we would just get like tossed around the entire time while you were in the extreme cut. Luckily, that is not out there right now because I couldn't sit through it. But I do want people to sit through it so they can experience what we experienced firsthand.
It'll work out. That's what I'm talking about.
Every day was an adventure. You never quite know what's going to happen with an audience, if it's going to fall off a cliff or not. But it's like a mountain that keeps growing. And yesterday's grosses were better than last week's grosses on the same day. So you just never know. This movie just keeps going. People have seen it multiple times. It's enormously entertaining. We take you inside a world that they'll never be a part of, or most people won't be a part of, an aviator, and show them how it actually works. And they get a ride in an F-18 in that movie. And in the theater, when you see this on IMAX or a big screen, it is a great ride. It's something that I think will last with you. And it's just such a thrill ride. You're in that F-18 with our characters, and that's an experience you'll never have in your life, most probably.
Literally.
I'll tell you, the first 3 people that approached me on the street, coffee shop, none of them had seen the movie once. They had all seen it more than once. One guy told me casually that he had seen it before. The other thing was they didn't make a big deal of how many times they saw it. That was just part of their, hi, Mr. Parnell, sorry to disturb you. I saw the movie 4 times. I really liked your, and so that's when I went, oh my. Wow. I was like, you don't even need that many people to see it if everybody's going to see it 4 times. But seriously, that's when I realized it was headed for something big, because people kept going back to the movie theater. Because at first you worry whether you're going to get people to go to the movie theater, because as a society, all of us, we're just so used to having it on the TV. But then when you hear people are coming several times, it's like, that really made me alert.
I mean, that opening weekend was, I think, for all of us, I think that was really a big thing for us. And I'll say, after that would probably be like the following weeks. Not only was the opening weekend such a big deal, but like every week that followed broke a record in terms of like how much the movie like slowly fell off. Like people were still coming out in crazy numbers. Even last week, for example, I think it was like number 2 or number 3 in the box office domestically in the US, which is crazy because it's in its 12th week. Like it's wild that that's happening. And I think like that's when we really started to notice it. And then I will say on the other side, when we first started the press tour, the response that we were getting from people, I think it threw all of us, because it was so like people just loved the movie so much, and they were so effusive about how much they loved it and wanted to know so much about it and our experience doing it. And I think that's really where we started to go like, oh, okay, this is special. This is a big deal. I don't think any of us thought like 13 weeks later we would still be back in IMAX and crushing in the box office, and now obviously getting ready to come out digitally next week. I don't think any of us necessarily foresaw all of that, but I definitely think we were like, oh, who knows when this thing, there's no limit to what this thing can do, because so many people around the world love it. Like it's a film that anyone can go see and love.
After the movie, we knew it before the movie. What you talking about?
Whatever.
No. It was when we first started doing the interviews, and they had the early screenings for press people, and every time somebody would come in, they would just not stop talking about the film, and it was like, hey, okay, y'all want to come and sit down and do the interview because y'all pitching this amazingly. Like it was great, and after it'll be done, we're just like, oh wow, this is. Well, people love it. People really love this film. So yeah, that was when I realized like, yo, we have a hit on our hands.
Yeah, I think around that same time, we were in the same room, like basically being like, this is weird. This has been a full day of everyone. Like they would start talking before the interview started recording.
Yeah.
And out of just like pure enthusiasm, they were still from the high of like leaving the movie theater, even though it was the day before. Because I think when we saw it, or even though we experienced it, that like leaving that theater, I was on for a while, and then I was like, oh, that's that same, like they rode the same roller coaster I did, and they have the exact same effect. And yeah, that first day was more so like it was just like, oh, this is, you feel it in the air, and we're all like, this is definitely really special. But yeah, I'd say I'd agree with Tarzan.
I honestly thought, I was like, okay, this is what, PR for a movie is like. The studio pays interviewers to come in and talk highly of the film, because there was no way every interviewer will come in and speak so highly of the film. I was like, there's no way. They must be, gassing us up. But I mean, 99% Rotten Tomato score. I mean, it's not like I watch it or anything, but.
And audience score of 99 with over 50,000 plus reviews. And so those 50,000 plus and then some are going to be able to watch it from the comfort of their own homes in their Sony Bravia home theater setups, whatever setups they got. They'll be able to watch it limitlessly, and I'm really excited about that.
August 23rd.
Which one of y'all has what it takes to follow me?
Well, if we wait 36 years, I won't be around. So if we make another one, I hope we do it quickly.
The end is inevitable, Maverick. Your kind is headed for extinction.
Maybe so, sir. But not today.